Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Lily Reads. Okay, in today's video, we are going to be reading sequels. We are going to be reading sequels. I have 3 sequels in front of me. These are all books I have been looking forward to reading, and we are going to read them. I will get through these quick. So we have Elle Kennedy, Bad Girl Reputation, which is like a companion novel for Good Girl Complex. Now, last year there was a lot of beef, a lot of drama because we got Good Girl Complex and everybody hated it. But me, it just reminded me of a time where I used to read Tumblr fan fiction and I enjoyed it. I really did. I gave it 5 stars. Like, it was such a good time reading. And so I had to get my hands on Bad Girl Reputation. At this point, I think the 3rd book has already come out in this, but we are going to see if I like this to see if we will read the 3rd one. But I have Bad Girl Reputation and I've been waiting to read this and we're going to do it. The next thing we have is Witchlings, the Golden Frog games. Witchlings was one of my favorite books last year. It made me feel so goddamn good. It was a middle grade book, and so they came out with a sequel, and I got my hands on it the day that it came out, but I knew I was going to do a video on sequels, and now this is my time. We are going to be reading Witchlings. The most anticipated book for this video for me is Amari and the Great Games. I read Amari and the Night Brothers this year, and God, I loved it. God, I loved it. I am so excited to read Amari and the Great Game. Now, if the week goes as planned, these are the only 3 books I will be reading. But if the week doesn't go as planned, I might can sneak in a 4th book. And if I do, it will be Seasonal Fears, which is the sequel to Middle Game that I read earlier this year. I do not know. What's scaring me about this book is not the actual book. It's me remembering what the hell happened in Middle Game. I would have to remember what happened in Middle Game. And I do not know if I can remember what happened in Middle Game. But if I do read these 3 books and I start this book and it all starts clicking, I know we got Roger and Dodger, all of that, then I will read Seasonal Fears. But like, don't hold your breath. Do not hold your breath. But we definitely will be reading these 3 books. So anyways, I'm going to get into the video and I will see you guys in the vlog. Peace.
I've been all in my phone, I got options, and I don't wanna tell you to drop it, but I don't wanna play your fair. Yeah, something that makes me look at you too often. Oh, baby, you can give it something. Baby, I can run all the time. Baby, I'm talking crazy. I need you running my space, but I need it, baby. I'm late, but I still can check in with you. I know that I need my friends, but I wouldn't wanna leave. You know, I wouldn't wanna bleed. Even my heart, my mind, and my body. My mind, and my body. My body.
guys, in the intro clip, my voice sound crazy because I went to go see Beyonce, but it has been a little while since then, so we are back. My voice is still a little, it's gonna go in and out probably for the rest of the week, but I feel good. I got my breakfast. I haven't drank my coffee yet. It's right here. And I haven't eaten my breakfast, so I am about to do that. But I need to come and talk to you guys about Amari and the Great Game. Number one, I really like this edition. Obviously, I got this from Waterstone. It is also a signed copy. I told you guys, I go back and forth on how much I like signed copies, how much I like sprayed edges. It's hit or miss with me. I really don't think I care. I don't really care the condition of books that I have. Like, I don't know, some people are very particular. They don't want their pages to have sun damage. They don't like pages to be ripped, dust jackets to be missing. I don't really care. Maybe it's because I own so many books, but I see people on like YouTube who own a lot of books and they really care about the condition and, having pretty editions. I care sometimes and I don't. Like, I went out of my way to get these because I just thought this was gorgeous, but like, I'm also going to get the paper. If I like this book, I'm going to get the paperbacks. And like, I don't really care. But I really like this edition. This edition is really fun. But I will say, baby, these pages is stiff. Like, stiff. I guess it's the sprayed edges of it all. But like, you gotta like open up these pages. They are stiff. But what I love the most about what's going on in this book at the beginning of, first of all, look at this, gorgeous. At the beginning of every chapter, you get like a photo that tells you like what's going to be in the chapter. And that's what I love about middle grade so freaking much. There's so much like put into the details of like middle grade books to keep the attention of the intended audience, which is middle graders. And so when it comes to fantasy, I'm going to pick up middle grade. It works for me. It keeps my attention. So in this book, we are following Amari Peters again, because in the last book, Amari Peters, she went up against the Knight brothers and baby, she summoned the lightning and she got their ass. And so Amari is basically a celebrity in the like fantasy world. They love her. They love her. They love her. So now it is summer camp. It is summer camp back at the Bureau. And she wants to go to summer camp. Everyone at the Bureau likes her, but she learns quickly that that love and attention is soon going to run dry because there is a stop in time. So they're all just hanging out, having fun, and all of a sudden time just stops. Time just stops for everyone except for Amari's friend. Maybe Amari doesn't get stopped in time. Somebody don't get frozen. Somebody, I don't remember. I haven't picked up this book in a while. It's been a few days. Somebody doesn't get stopped in time. It's either Amari's friend that doesn't stop in time or it's Amari who doesn't stop in time. One of the two. One of you say it down in the comments. It really don't matter. Time doesn't stop for them, and that's how they realize time stopped. Well, the only people they know who can do some witchcraftery like that is the magicians, and Amari is a magician. So they start blaming Amari because of everything that happened in the last book. They start thinking Amari is in on it, and Amari might be the reason why time stopped. And they not having none of the shit they had last year happen again. So they're done with Amari. They are like, Amari, you can't come back. You can't come back to the Bureau till we figure out what's going on. But then Amari meets some witches. Amari meets some witches that live in her neighborhood, and basically they have propositioned her because they want her to come to their side. She wants they're magicians, and they want to see, is she loyal to the magicians or is she loyal to the Bureau? That's what she's going through. So Amari is just all over the place. She's all over the place because she doesn't want to have loyalty to nobody. She just wants, her brother is still in a coma, and she just wants to figure that out. She doesn't want to be a local celebrity. She has her friend Jalen, who she is bringing into the Bureau, or Jaylyn or Jaden. She doesn't want to deal with none of it. So Amari's going through a lot in this book, but baby, it's just as enjoyable as the first one. I love this world. I don't know what to tell you. That's why I'm excited talking about it. I love this world. Yes, some of the details are fleeting, but baby, I love this world. It's so much fun to just read about Amari and Maria and the girls and all the girls. Jaden is his name. It's so fun. It's so fun. So that's what's pretty much going on. The Bureau on her ass, the other magicians on her ass. There's been a time stall, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with that. Now, Kenya already got some information on what's going on with that, and everything is not what it seems to be, but y'all have to read the book to find it out. But anyways, I am going to probably read it. I have to do some cleaning, so I'll probably read a little bit more later, hopefully, and maybe come back with, I usually don't come back with a lot of like check-ins. Have y'all been purchasing anything from the half off hardcovers at Barnes and Noble? I have, so well, actually, I'll talk about this with y'all later, okay?
All in my phone, I got options, and I don't wanna tell you to drop it, but I don't wanna play your fair. Yeah, something that makes me look at you too often. Oh, baby, you can give it something. Baby, I can run all the time. Baby, I'm talking crazy. I need you running my space, but I need it, baby. I'm late, but I still can check in with you. I know that I need my friends, but I wouldn't wanna leave. You know, I wouldn't wanna bleed. Even my heart, my mind, and my body. Says, my mind, and my body. My body says, my mind, and my heart. My body says, I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what it is. But you got me going crazy. Just to do is so amazing. How long can you go, baby? At last to my body so.
Hopefully you guys can see me. I am here to give you guys like a real update on Amari and the Great Game, because the last update, I was just honestly trying to update myself of like everything that happened in this book. So the reason why this book is called Amari and the Great Game is because Amari has been propositioned by the League. The League is this thing of magicians. So all the magicians, they have their own like bureau, but it's called the League. And Amari has been asked to be head of the League, but in order to be head of the League, she has to beat out another strong magician, and that other strong magician is Dylan. And if you remember Dylan is who Amari beat in the at the end of Amari and the Night Brothers. Like, she had to go up against Dylan. She didn't know she was going up against Dylan. She thought she was defeating the Night Brothers, but it was Dylan. You know, it was a whole thing, right? And so Dylan has escaped from wherever the hell they put him after Amari whooped his ass. And he is the other great magician. And so Amari is going up against him in the Great Game. They have to like win some rings from one another to decide who's gonna be like head of the League. And then there's also like more of an A plot going on, where because that time freeze I was telling you about, they're kind of rounding up magicians because they think the magicians are the one who did that, because as we know, they hate magicians. And so Amari is dealing with that. Her friend Maria, who was actually her brother's friend, she's basically trying to help her, you know, with everything, because she's also a magician. It's a lot going on. So they're basically trying to figure out what's causing the time stall, the time freeze, and who's a part of it, and everything that's going on. So Amari knows a lot more than she's letting on to the Bureau, because she's part of the League of Magicians, and she can't tell anyone that's what's going on with the magicians, because people don't know that the magicians have their own little league and all that stuff is happening, child. It's kind of confusing, but like, it's not really. If you were reading the book, you wouldn't be confused. I'm just confusing you by telling you, because like, there's a lot of it's not that confusing when you're reading it, you know. It's confusing when you're explaining it, but it's really not that confusing. This shit is so good. Like, it's just so good. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you ain't read Amari, first of all, you've been spoiled like shit. And so I need to put a spoiler warning. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. I just did my nighttime routine real quick and easy because I am officially out of my Lancome HCF triple serum. Like, let me see. Like, she gone, and this stuff is so expensive, like so expensive. So I need to buy some more. Cause, anyways, I will talk to you guys tomorrow morning. And we'll wrap up Amari and the Great Game, and we will move on to Witchling, okay? Hello, you guys. I'm here to come and give my final update on Amari and the Great Game. This book is a 5-star book. Like, I don't know what to tell you. The Amari series is just really, really interesting. It took me a little longer to read this book than I thought it would take me to read this book. But every time I got back into it, I enjoyed it more than the last time I was reading it. This book really worked. Now, if I had to choose which one I enjoyed more, I enjoyed Amari and the Night Brothers more. I think Amari and the Night Brothers more was more of a complete story. This was very much so a middle book. Like, there's a lot of exposition in this book. There's a lot of setting things up in this book. There's a lot of ideas. We meet a couple new characters. There's a lot of things going on in this book, or I would say more so characters who we knew before become more intricate, play a more intricate role to the story. But I don't think there's this humongous payoff at the end of this book. So that's why I think Amari and the Night Brothers is more of a complete book. But this book is still very enjoyable. I will be picking up the next one. If you have not started reading Amari, please do. I do like the premise of this more than I think I like the premise of Amari and the Night Brothers. I don't know. This had a lot going on that I really enjoy. So 5 out of 5 stars. It's just good. It's just good. But anyways, I have removed my bookmark, which is I'm That Girl by Beyonce sticker. And we are going to move on to Witchlings. I thought I was going to read Bad Girl Reputation next, but I know I can get through Bad Girl Reputation rather quickly. So I would rather get through Witchlings. I'm so excited to get back into the Witchlings world because, like, I just remember how much I enjoyed the book last year. And so, like, getting back into this world, I'm excited. I wasn't excited until I picked up this book and it's like, whoa, I'm back into the Witchlings world. Anyways, how have you guys been? I have a book of the month book to show you. I had an issue with book of the month. My book of the month book, like, said it was delivered, and baby, it did not get delivered. So they sent me a replacement. It was no issue, but it did come. I was worried because for the first time in like maybe all year, I'm like really excited for this book of the month book. Like, more excited than I've ever been. Because if this wasn't a book of the month book, I would have purchased it on my own immediately. But since it is, I didn't have to do that. And so I got it in book of the month. Family Lore by Elizabeth Escovedo. This is a full-length novel from Elizabeth Escovedo. I have loved Elizabeth Escovedo books in the past. Think Clap When You Land. Think With the Fire on High. I loved With the Fire on High. With the Fire on High was one of my favorite books of last year. And this, I believe, is Elizabeth Escovedo's literary fiction go. So this will be the first Elizabeth Escovedo that is not considered young adult. And this is literary fiction. Which young adult could be literary fiction, can it? You can make young adult literary fiction. Is that not a thing? Is literary fiction just like its own thing? I'm not getting into the specificities of how that would work. Because, like, could a book about that is geared toward young adults be literary fiction? Let's think that through. Let's take a book like The Outsiders. Is The Outsiders literary fiction? Or To Kill a Mockingbird is young adult? To Kill a Mockingbird is young adult, but it's also literary fiction. Yeah, young adult books can be literary fiction books. Like, yeah, because literary fiction would be, I guess contemporary would be the genre. Is literary fiction a genre, or is it a type, or is literary fiction a genre, I guess, is the question. Or is that just like a subcategory of something else? Is it just to describe, because at the end of the day, literary fiction is usually just contemporary. We know you can have a young adult contemporary novel. Elizabeth Escovedo writes young adult contemporary. So could young adult contemporary be literary fiction? Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I'm confused by all of that. Anyways, because like, this is middle grade, but it's middle grade fantasy. Middle grade fantasy. So can you have young adult literary fiction? Is literary fiction considered a genre by itself? Or is literary fiction just contemporary fiction? But it's all literary fiction contemporary. Then I ask you that. Is all literary fiction contemporary? No. Because you have like magical realism. But magical realism can also fall on the contemporary. Don't get me started. I'm confused. Family Lore. Family Lore is the book that I am so excited to read. I'm going to be reading this in November. In November, I plan on reading all of the new books I have purchased this year that I have not gotten to. So this would fall into that. But the problem is, I recently just bought more books. Yeah, I went to Barnes & Noble and bought more books. I will show you them later in the video. So there's an issue with that because I have more books. And so like my pile of books I need to get to in November is getting bigger and bigger. And I already am taking on a huge load in October for Halloween. I have this idea in Halloween to read as many thrillers as I possibly can via audio and physically. I want to do like try to get through a big chunk of my thriller section in my own personal library. So that's a big undertaking I want to do. September, I'm kind of open. So hopefully at the beginning of September, before I do any vlogs, I can be able to get to some of these like books. But at this point, my reading for the entirety of the year is already planned out. But Family Lore is getting read this year because, baby, I am excited. And I have heard nothing about this book, but I cannot wait to read it. Anyways, how are we feeling? You guys, I went to At Home today to see what the Halloween decorations was looking like because when it comes to decorating for the holidays, I take it so seriously. I take it more seriously than I take probably anything. And I am a planner when it comes to that, which is so crazy because I am not a planner when it comes to any other part of my life. That does not mean I am a very decisive. I am a very decisive person. That's actually, I think, my number one character trait. I'm very decisive. Like when I'm decide to do something, I do it. But I'm not a very impulsive person. That's the word. I am not impulsive. I think about the stuff that I want to do. Once I decide I'm going to do something, there's no going back. I'm going to do it. But I am not a planner. I do not plan things. But for something, when it comes to like decorations and decorating and doing all of that, I plan it out. And so I'm not changing my Christmas theme this year from what it was last year, but I am changing my Halloween theme. Last Halloween was all pumpkins. I had a whole pumpkin jack-o'-lantern theme. This year, we're doing something different. So I had to take out all of my bins out of storage, which my storage thankfully was downstairs. I made the executive decision last year to take all of my storage out of my attic and put it in like this closet that we have in the laundry room. And it was the best decision I ever made because now I don't have to go to the attic to get all of my stuff. But I'm actually getting a storage unit because my couch upstairs I want to keep, but I don't want it in my home anymore because I'm getting a new couch. So I want to put it in storage. And so all of these decorations now are actually going to go to the storage unit. And that is just going to be so freeing to have a storage unit. So I'm actually buying a storage unit. I was supposed to do it today, but ran out of time. But I took everything that I used for Halloween last year. And I took out just to see what am I keeping, like what I can use for my theme this year. It won't be much, but I know it's a few things, so I want to do that. And then all my pumpkin-y stuff is going away. I might see if my sister wants to use any of it this year because she has a home and she has children. So I might see if she wants to use any of it this year since I'm not going to use it. I'd rather it not sit in storage because I'm not using it. So I'm going to change out that theme. And then I don't do too much on Halloween. It's not like I have to buy a bunch of decorations. So that's why I like to plan it out because if you plan it out, you don't spend a bunch of money because you know, okay, this is going to go here, this is going to go here, this is how we're going to do this, So I am very, very excited. I just went to look to see what At Home has. I want to peruse all of the stores. I want to go to Target, want to go to Walmart, and then as things slowly trickle in, that is when I will put. So I decorate for October, Halloween, pure Halloween. So no like fall stuff, none of it. In September, I don't start shit in September. I believe things are done in time. I don't like when people decorate for Christmas in November, but because like if you can decorate for Christmas on November 12th, then what's stopping you from doing it on September 3rd? Like things are done in certain times. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Anyways, so I am decorating. I decorate for Halloween in October, and I decorate for fall in November. Fall is November. And then in December, that's when we pull out Christmas stuff. Like everything has its time, but September is not the time for decorating, if you ask me. Because if you're going to decorate in September, this shit, decorate in June. Shit, decorate in June and since you're doing whatever the hell you want to do. And so decorating for fall is a November thing. So I just wanted to get everything down to see what I needed to buy. Anyways. Witchlings. I will see you guys with my first updates on Witchlings. Amari was a win as I thought it would be. Like, Amari is just that girl. I don't know what to tell you. I will see you guys later. And pick up Family Lore by Elizabeth Escovedo. So we can talk about it when I read it in November. Maybe I might try to get to it before November. Oh, Elizabeth Escovedo is so fucking fun. Look at these pages. She is just so goddamn fun. Like, I love her. Anyways, let's talk later. Bye. Hello, you guys. Welcome back. We are in another day of this vlog, and we are talking about Witchlings. Okay, starting Witchlings, I once again realize why I do not read sequels. I have a terrible memory. I forget things. I forget things, and it's like, when you're reading a sequel, you don't want to go back and read the first book because, oh my gosh, that would just take time. And then you get into the book and you're just like, what the hell happened? Of course, every sequel does they try their best to catch you up on everything that happened in the past book. But the more that happens in this book, I remember what happened in the last. And I'm like, whoa, that did happen. Whoa, that did happen. And I wish I had that context for when I was reading earlier chapters in the book. It's like, oh, that happened and that happened and that happened. So when picking up Witchlings, I forgot a bunch of shit that happened. You can tell that's the truth of me because even in Amari and the Great Game, that first clip where I was explaining what happened in Amari and the Night Brothers, I didn't even remember half the shit that happened in Amari and the Night Brothers. Like, I don't know. Something about a sequel, I forget everything and I feel like it's not worth it. Like, if you're not going to remember what happened in the last book, why are you reading the sequel? But I'm so happy that I still stuck this one out because now I do have all the needed context and I'm here. So in this book, we are competing in the Golden Frog game. So like, there's a bunch of towns, maybe 12 towns, that make up this one like witch world, right? And basically everyone in these towns compete in something called the Golden Frog Games. It's kind of like their Olympics. And we have our 3 spares from the last book. We have Seven, we have Thorn, and we have Valley. Is that her name? Of course, it is Valley, and basically they are the spares. Well, one of them wants to compete in the Golden Frog Games, but that causes a lot of issue because in the past, spares have not been able to compete in the Golden Frog Games. Now, even though the Witchlings had a big victory at the end of the last book and they got to keep their powers and all that stuff and they saved the town, people are still not, fully convinced that spares should be amongst everyone else, so people do not want Thorn. Thorn is the one who wants to compete. They do not want Thorn to compete in the new game, and basically Thorn still wants to compete. She wants to compete in like the fashion category, which is not like fashion, it's like fashion, category. So she's gonna compete, but when they are at like the opening ceremony to see who's going to compete, she gets chosen to compete. And basically someone, we don't know who, puts a hex on one of the girls who is also competing with Thorn, and that starts this whole thing of who's doing hexes, who's using dark magic, who's doing all this stuff. Our spares are being blamed for it because people do not like spares, and so our three girls are going to set out and try to solve the mystery. Who put the hex on one of the girls, and why are they doing this? But Seven, our main spare, our main witch, she has her own issues that she is telling no one about. Baby, she is hearing voices. So her magical power is that she talks to animals, but she's supposed to be able to talk to animals and like she's supposed to hear their voices in her head. But instead she's hearing voices of like the night beast and like monstrous voices in her head, and so she knows something is not right, but she doesn't want to tell anyone because this is not gonna help her case that spares aren't weird as shit. So she's like keeping it to herself, but like she's worried and wondering why she's hearing voices, and that is what is happening here. Also, just as enjoyable as the last. Just as enjoyable as the last. YA fantasy just works for me. I don't know. I feel like YA fantasy for me is what cozy fantasy is for a lot of other people. A lot of people read cozy fantasy and it's like, it's just fun. It's just lighthearted, right? But I find cozy fantasy to just be boring. To me, young adult fantasy is more cozy and lighthearted. Like nothing really bad is ever going to happen, you know? It's just a good time, you know? It follows like beats that you expect. It has twists, it has turns, it has good plot, but like nothing is ever that bad. And in the end, you're going to learn a lesson. It's going to teach you about perseverance. It's going to teach you about all the things you expect to learn. Is Witchlings. I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. This book, the very ending is really, really good. This book has a really good final battle scene. The reason why I'm giving this book 4 stars and I gave the first book 5 stars is the first book was more fun. I think this book is like, you know, it's a middle book. Just the same thing with Amari. So you're getting a lot of new storylines, and I think some of the fun is taken away from it. What I really loved about the first book was it was these 3 girls. They're coming together. They don't really know each other that well, and they're finding like family. You know, the found family trope. They're finding each other, finding their purpose. Like, and in this book, like in any second book in a series, you know, they're kind of being torn apart. They're keeping secrets from each other. They're trying to find their footing. And so, like, I think the fun element wasn't there. But as far as it being, like, enjoyable, it is still enjoyable. It's still a really good story. This book has kind of a mystery going on through it that is really, really good. And like I said, that final battle scene is also really, really good. Some people died in this book that you were like, oh, wow. So this book did have a lot going on. To me, right on par with the first one. I really think you guys should pick up this series. This is a good series. So, another winner for us. So, let's move on to Bad Girl Reputation. I'm scared of this book. That's why I got pushed to last. I read Good Girl Complex. Do I have it over here somewhere? I do. Let's get it. I read Good Girl Complex. Everyone hated this book. This book came out in 2021? Everybody hated this book. I did not. I gave this book 5 stars. I thought this book was really, really enjoyable. So I picked up Bad Girl Reputation. I think I pre-ordered this and it's just been sitting on my bookshelf for a year. But now is the time. I don't know. Every now and then I am just in the mood for a messy, morally ambiguous romance, you know, and sometimes it hits the mark. So my battery is telling me I have 2 minutes left of battery, so I'm gonna get going, but we are going to start Bad Girl Reputation because I'm excited because quiet as it's kept, this vlog has been a hit. Amari was good. Witchlings was good. I expected Amari to be good, and I expected Witchlings to be good. This is our questionable one. Real quick, let's talk about seasonal fears. Let me use these 2 minutes. I don't want to read this. Here is the thing. I purchased this book in Middle Game, which Middle Game is also sitting right here, so I can get her too. I should film here more often, like in front of my books. Anyways, I purchased these 2 books like at a discount, and they were like together, so it was just like might as well get them. But like if I didn't purchase this book at the same time I purchased this book, I would not be reading the sequel of this book. I gave this book 3.5 stars, and it was like a good 3.5 stars. Like I said in my ratings video, it was compelling. I enjoyed it. But like, I don't, when it comes to fantasy or sci-fi, I do not pick up the sequels that often. Like, I have to really enjoy you, give you 5 stars, honestly, to pick up the sequel. So I would never read this book, honestly, if I didn't already own it. And so that's why it's just like, I just wish I didn't own it. But like, now that I do, and I kind of have made this rule to myself that I don't think I'm going to I'm not going to get rid of any more books that I haven't read. I think I've gotten all the books that I know I don't want to read out of my library. And now everything that I have, I am at least going to try to read before I decide to unhaul it. So like, I might as well do it. Like, the time is now. The time is now. Maybe I can pick up the audio book. I'm going to go on Libby and see if the audio book is on Libby, because I ain't paying for it. Be serious. And if the audiobook is on Libby, then maybe we can talk. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later because my battery's gonna die. Peace. Hello, you guys. I have come to discuss Bad Girl Reputation. You can tell, well, you might not be able to tell, my book is just like open, spine broken, because I have read this entire book. I have so much to discuss. Well, I don't know if I have so much to discuss, but I do want to discuss this with you guys. Okay, ignore my hair. We're just going to ignore my hair, like just ignore it. Anyways, Bad Girl Reputation. In this book, we are following the second twin brother of the twin brothers that we met in the first book, Good Girl Complex. So in Good Girl Complex, we met these 2 twin brothers. They live in this beach town. This beach town is filled with tourists, and it's also filled with college students because there is a college also in this beach town. But these 2 boys live in this beach town year round. They grew up in this beach town. They are very down on their luck. Their father is dead, and their mom is gone, and she's kind of a mooch. And so, you know, she has all types of problems. She has like addiction problems and all that stuff. So they are kind of on their own. And so in this book, we are following the second twin brother. So he is kind of like the fuck up of the 2. You had one of him, he was a little bit more serious. This brother is not as serious. He gets in a lot of trouble, and basically we meet his ex-girlfriend. So his ex-girlfriend has fled town. She has fled town and gone to Charleston because her mother died. She fled town, but then while she was fleeing town, her mother died. And basically, she has decided to come back to this beach town, and she is going to help her dad with the business because her mom kept all the books and stuff. So she's going to help her dad kind of transition into having like a new secretary or something. So she has come back to the town to do that post her mother dying. But, you know, everything is not good because when she was living in this town, she had a bad girl reputation. She would always get drunk. She would get arrested. She was doing drugs. She was just sleeping with everybody. Like, her reputation has not been good her entire life. So the brother of one of the twin brothers, that's his ex-girlfriend. And so he has been kind of distraught since she left town because she left town without telling him anything. So she's trying to see like what happened. He's trying to see what happened with her. So they meet back up and they quickly like hook up. But our girl in this book, she decides that she is not going to like make anything of it. She doesn't want to get back with the brother because she wants to be a good girl. That sounds so gross to say. She wants to be a good girl. But she wants to be on the straight and narrow. She wants to, you know, be someone with a job. She doesn't want to drink anymore. She doesn't want to do drugs. And she definitely just doesn't want to sleep around. So she is trying to, you know, build back up her reputation. And she doesn't believe being with the brother is going to do that. So our brother, there's more to the plot, boy. Our brother decides he's going to get on the straight and narrow in order to convince her that they should be together. And that is your story. I would love to come and say, well, I guess I just enjoyed Good Girl Complex because it was like at a certain moment in my life, and I kind of get why people didn't like it, and this book is bad, but I can't tell you that. I'm going to give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Yes, I am. I'm going to give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this book. You want to know something, how I know I enjoyed this book? I actually didn't really like the romance aspect of this book. I really wasn't that invested on if our two characters would get back together or not, but that's just been me all year. It's the reason why I just haven't been reading a lot of romance books this year, because I don't know, I'm just not in my fluff era to where it's just like, oh, these people are so cute. And so I've been giving a lot of romance books 3 stars, 2 stars, because I'm just like, I'm kind of over the idea of romance novels. But I didn't care about the romance in this book because that's just the era I'm in. And still love this book because this book had so many other things working for it. I'm sorry, Elle Kennedy kind of just works for me as an author. Like, I felt like I was in this town. I felt like these boys could be real. And yes, it was a little ridiculous, but I want the ridiculousness. Like, I want to have fun. These books are just a whole lot of fun, and it has drama. And you want to know what? They're a little trashy. The perfect word to describe them is a little trashy. Like, they are not trying hard to be respectable. They do not care about any of like the politics that a lot of these romance books get wrapped up in, like, you know, not saying certain things, and we got to make sure we're feminist. And like, I don't mind books caring about that, obviously, but like, these books don't give a shit. They're going to say whatever the hell they want to say. So they're trashy, I guess the perfect word is for. They're trashy, but that's what kind of makes them fun. To me, this is the perfect, and like, I'm giving it 4.5 stars, so Elle Kennedy, don't get mad, but like, they're the perfect summer trashy read. This is like, I think the most, for me, summer book I've read this summer. And I don't even think this book takes place in summer. I think they're like going into like fall in this book, but it doesn't matter because it worked, and I loved it. I loved it. The only reason why I do have to take the 0.5, this is a romance book, and so like, if I didn't care about the romance, like, you gotta be serious a little bit. So I'm gonna take off 0.5 for that, but I loved every other aspect. We had supporting characters that were really good. There was also kind of a love triangle going on that was really good. You had some, the moments with the brothers were really good. The only person who didn't have anything to do in this book is the girl from the last book. She was in this book, but she wasn't doing nothing. We had stuff with the mother that's oh so good. It was just a good book. It was a good book for me. So anyways, I wish I had my phone. So I do. So I went on to Libby because I told you guys I do not want to physically read Seasonal Fears. I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to do that. So I went on, I pulled up my Libby app, and by the way, I'm reading while I'm doing my hair. I'm braiding my hair. I'm reading some Jasmine Guillory. I'm trying to get through my Jasmine Guillory books, and all of the Jasmine Guillory books that I own are available on Libby for free, so that's what I'm listening to as I do my hair. So anyways, I pulled up my Libby app, and I have Seasonal Fears on hold. I am the first person in line, and 1 copy is in use, which means if this person returns this book back right now, I could read it. But so I'm at the whims of whoever has this book in front of me. So like, up until 24 hours of me editing this vlog, I will keep the tunnel open. But if the person doesn't return the book, I'm not paying for the book. So, and I'm not going to read it physically. I'm not going to read it physically because I don't want to. Therefore, if I get it, I'll read it. I'll let you know. It's a 16-hour audiobook. If I can read on 2.5 speed, we will get done with that. What's that, 6 hours? About 6 hours. So, like, not the worst thing in the world. Definitely not the best. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do. Anyways, this was a hit. Let's act like the video ends right now. All of these were hits. Amari, hit. Witchlings, hit. This, hit. Am I back? Is the last 6 months of the year gonna be Kenya's back? Now, last reading month was a mess. So let's say the last 5 months of the year gonna be it. Are we back, baby? Because I'm feeling it. I was not expecting this book to be good, but it was, and this is why I need to stop listening to y'all and just read whatever the hell I want to read. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later, And my head won't look like this, okay? Peace. Hi, you guys. I am honestly here to wrap this video up. In this video, we read 3 books. I don't have the 3 books. Let me go get the 3 books and I will be right back. Oh my God. We read 3 books, and those 3 books were these right here. The first book we read was Amari and the Great Game. This was a sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers. I gave Amari and the Night Brothers 5 stars. I gave this book 5 stars as well. This is one of my favorite series that is going on. This is really the only series I have really true intentions of continuing to read. I will read as many books that come out in this series. I cannot wait for the next one. And so I love this book. If you have not read Amari yet, you should. The next book that we read was Witchlings. This was a sequel to Witchlings. This is called Witchlings, the Golden Frog Games. I don't think I said that in the entire video, that this book is called Witchlings, the Golden Frog Games. I thought this book was really, really good. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars, but it definitely is like a middle book. Like, this is a series and this is a book in the middle of that series. It like didn't do anything, I think, fantastic. And the first book is definitely better. You have characters kind of going their separate ways. There's trust. I think this book lacks some of the fun the first book had, but it was still just a really good book. And I thought the battle scene at the end of this was amazing. So I give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. The last book that we read was Bad Girl Reputation. This is a companion novel to Good Girl Complex. I really like this book. This book is trashy. This book is messy. This book is ridiculous. But like, I mean all of that in the best way. It's just a fun read. It's what I sign up for when I want to read a romance in the summer. I want that. I want the mess. I want the petty drama. I just want like an interesting story. And that's what I got from this. Sometimes I think romance novels try to do too much, and the author who writes it doesn't really have the pedigree to do what they're trying to do, and it's just like, okay, this is just boring. And then sometimes I think books become like too ridiculous, too outlandish, too many sex scenes, too many, and I just think these books like know what they are and they embrace what they are. So I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And that is the books that we read in this video. I've been telling you guys about the Barnes & Noble sell all video and never showed you guys what I picked up from Barnes & Noble. So in this sale, I only picked up 1 book, and that was Community Board. I almost paid full price for this book a few weeks ago, and I was so happy when I saw it was 50% off in the Barnes & Noble sale. This is about a girl who like writes on a community board about all her problems, I think, something like that. But I wanted this book, and it was 50% off, and so I was like, this is literally what I went to Barnes & Noble for, to get this book, because I've been wanting this book. So I got that for 50% off. Now, the next 2 books I did not get for 50% off. I paid full price for these books, and I think both of these books are new. I picked these books up because they got good New York Times reviews. The New York Times did a like books to look out for or books we're enjoying type thing, and both of these books appeared and they sounded interesting to me. So first one is Diket. That's just that, like, it got a good review in the Times. They said it's enjoyable. The synopsis sounds absolutely ridiculous, so it sounds like it is right up my alley. I cannot wait to get to this in November. I will be reading it in November. I really like the cover. I think the cover is so good. So I picked that book up. And then another book is Nothing Special. This is about a woman who works at a job, and like there's issues at the job, and she's trying to like it's a whole Andy Warhol thing. That's why the cover looks like this. It's a whole thing, and also got a good New York Times review. So I am going to read it. So I got both of those from the Times. Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney wrote the verb, and the author of Girlhood wrote the blurb for this. So like some good blurbage going on. But that's the end of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys at the last day of the month to read some more books. I love you guys, and peace.